So do we have to do an intro? Did we do the intro? I don't think
we haven't done the intro.
Okay, let's do the intro. You start me off.
Okay. So good evening, Carrie.
Why did you do that to me? Fucking dick. Oh my god, you're Satan's penis. Speaking of Satan's penis, I'm Carrie. That's Jake. And this is Love Why I Like Crazy.
It is, and we do. So
I guess now we have to do it for real.
I guess we do.
Although that was pretty...
So this is Love You Like Crazy, where we talk about young adult media, usually books, but in this case, not a book.
In this case, Season 1, Episode 6 of The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina.
An exorcism in Greendale.
Sounds spooky.
Let's talk about it.
Yes! Oh my gosh, this episode is, like all other episodes of Sabrina, fucking bonkers, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
It is BANANAS.
Well put.
Thank you.
Where should we start?
So it starts off where the last episode ended off.
It's the middle of the night. What can I do for you?
You can start by telling me the truth about who and what you are.
WTF, bitch, you were in my dream. And not in like a good way. Not like a, hey, baby, I dreamed about you sort of way, but a, what the fuck? You were literally in my dream and you're my teacher and this is weird. What's up?
You better sit down.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of an interrogation, which I would say the emphasis is on little, because I feel like she could have gotten a lot more Nancy Drew with this whole thing.
Yeah, she really could have, and she just completely accepted it as face value. I don't know if that's a Sabrina thing or a teenager thing or an idiot thing or you know, a combination of all three, but I don't think I would have just let her off the hook that easily. I'm a pretty skeptical person by nature. And she was just like, oh, well, I'm only doing this because your daddy told me to.
Yeah, I think everything Wardwell tells her is like complete bullshit. I don't think she says anything that's true.
No, and you know, of course we have the ability to know these things. If this is the first time we'd met her, maybe we would have believed it, but
sure.
I still would have been like, really though? Because if you were just trying to protect her, if that was really your job, you probably wouldn't be sneaking around. You probably would have, you know, been a friend of the family for years. There would be some, you know, some sort of relationship already instead of neeking around.
You wouldn't be a sneaky guy. And like nobody notices that Wardwell has become a lot more kind of gothy and creepy.
Yeah, like she's become like a total like vamp where, you know, before her hair was back in a bun and she dressed, you know, very primly. And now she's like, hey, y'all, here are my boobs and my fluffy hair. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And no one's like, I wonder if she's got a brain tumor. Things just changed. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to go full brain tumor.
No, I was just thinking about like there's a point in the episode where Sabrina's like tells her aunts, you know, hey, I think my friend's uncle is possessed with a demon. And Hilda says,
Have they called a doctor yet? Because they need to rule out every other possibility first, like epilepsy or schizophrenia, Tourette's.
And I thought that was kind of funny because that's also what I have heard actual witches say. It's like, you know, okay, but let's first rule out the medical stuff.
It's probably not zebras, but, you know, zebras are on the table, just, you know, a little further back.
Right. So, so going to brain tumor reminded me of all of that. Wardwell says that she was in love with Sabrina's dad, that she also previously had been in love with a mortal, et cetera, et cetera. We know that she is the mother of demons, apparently.
She is, and she bones down with Satan, or wants to bone down with Satan. I don't know if they've actually boned, or if she just like sniffs around his dick a lot.
No, I think you're right about that.
I mean, she's literally at, you know, at eye level with his junk in one of the last episodes. So, I mean, yeah, she's literally sniffing around his dick. And because he's such a hairy goat man, it probably isn't like pleasant, but
Tastes differ.
I won't yuck her yum.
So I'm trying to think, like, I guess, Sabrina tends to like kind of have just one plot as opposed to Riverdale, where there tend to be a few different things going on. So basically in 2 episodes ago, or was it last, whatever, doesn't matter. It's been a while since I've watched the show. The Scooby Gang had discovered that Susie's uncle had gone to the mines, seen the devil, and gone crazy.
It had to be at least 2 episodes ago because last episode was the dream one.
Yeah. So they did that. They ended up tying the uncle to his bed when he got super scary.
And like, how long has he been tied to the bed? Haven't the parents come home yet?
Yeah, but also, I mean, I think Suzie probably told them, like, my uncle came at me and my friends were here, so we had to tie him down. And it seems like her parents are, typical YA fiction parents in that they kind of suck. And they're like, sure, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Why don't we have him committed to an asylum?
Oh, you've tied your uncle up. Your uncle, my brother, is tied to the bed, can't go to the bathroom. Let me just call a doctor and have him taken away.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be like, what the fuck are you doing, dumbass? Like, what happened here? I go out of the house for 2 hours and I come back and my brother's tied to a bed, shitting himself. Thanks, Suzie.
But it turns out that the Scooby Gang has, in kind of in my opinion, not as good rendition of the previous episode. They've been having these sort of visions of the uncle.
Oh, they sure have.
Sort of playing to each of their worst, their fears about how they are seen by other people. So Harvey, the uncle accuses Harvey of being a coward.
Which, I mean, he fucking is. I just don't like Harvey. So, I mean, he's probably fine. Just a terrible person.
I mean, if you're running into Satan, like, maybe, I feel like there are worse options than cowardice. Such as bravery. Bravery might be a bad one.
That might be terrible. That might be lethal.
Yeah. Roz is accused of not having any faith, which kind of comes out of left field for me.
There is no faith in you, girl. So as punishment, you shall be made blind.
What?
So this is the demon, like looking into their psyches or whatever, because later on she says that her father said,
You say all the time, Grandma Walker went blind because she didn't have faith.
You're not like her, Rosalind.
which I'm like, what kind of fucked up thing is that to tell your daughter? Or, I mean, to tell anyone really, but like, what?
Your grandmother couldn't do it and neither can you.
And, and he's like, but you have faith, so you'll be fine. And she's like, I don't know about that, Dad.
I have faith that I am going blind.
And then I feel like Suzie is a little bit different from the others.
Well, Susie's is maybe a little, it's not, Suzie. Because the demon basically tells them, out loud what they're probably feeling inside. I mean, same as Harvey, but it was both new and not new to us.
So the demon tells Suzie that
You're an abomination, boy, girl.
Mm-hmm.
And Susie's reaction to that is that later on when her father is saying, well, you're like, is talking to the doctor. The doctor's like, well, you said that he's always wrestled with his demons. Like, what were you talking about there? And Susie's dad says,
Jesse liked to put on our mother's dresses. Well, us kids would just laugh, But one time our daddy caught him in the act. Beat him black and blue. Well, he quit putting on our dresses after that. But he always struggled with his, sexuality.
And Suzie is just like rip shit. And she comes down and she is like,
What are you saying all that stuff for, Dad? What happened in the past has nothing to do with what's happening to Uncle Jesse now.
Suzie, is this your daughter, Mr. Putnam?
Can't just send him off to a loony bin because he put on a dress once.
And ultimately demands to see this place that they want to commit him to, which then leaves the house vacant so that witchy shenanigans can take place.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, I don't know, apparently I'm just jumping around this episode.
There's only one thing I want to talk about in this whole episode. So you do your part, and then I want to talk about Hilda.
Okay, I'll talk about this, and then we'll talk about Hilda. Maybe we don't even need to talk about most of this episode, which, I don't know, I didn't like that much. Anyway, at the end, the uncle dies.
They got the worm out of his body. He's supposed to be fine. He dead of a heart attack. Foul play, question mark, but it, the lay people, they're just like, oh, he had a heart attack and he's dead.
And so Suzie and Sabrina are talking, and Suzie said maybe it's better that he's dead than if he went to the asylum.
At least he's free now.
And Sabrina notices.
Suzie, I don't think I've ever seen you in a dress before.
And Suzie says,
I'm not an abomination, Sabrina, and I won't be one.
Now that she's seen the asylum where her uncle was almost sent, she's afraid of going there as well. So she's like, oh shit, I've seen it now. I know how real it looks and how horrifying it probably is because it's Sabrina land. And she's like, nope.
And I think it's just kind of interesting with Suzie because she is actually like super defiant of the demon. And it's really kind of the fact that the real world actually sucks is what kind of makes her try to conform to traditional gender roles. So that whole thing made me sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's horrifying. And of course it's sad. It should make you sad.
Yeah. I don't necessarily have more to say about that, but
yeah,
I didn't think it, there were things about it that are cartoony, of course, because it's this show, but
because it's this show and there's a literal possessed man showing up behind her and being all spooky and yelling at her, just like yelling at Harvey, who's crying in his fucking room. Possessed man who's only tormenting them because they touched him to tie him down on the bed. This fucking show.
Yeah, but also it's like, I guess people think that other people think they're cowards, and okay. Although, my main jumping off point there is Back to the Future 2 and 3.
What's wrong, McFly? Chicken?
And then, but I don't really know that a lot of people are like, I'm losing my sight because I don't have enough faith. That's not a thing that I really can connect with the real world in any meaningful way.
But I bet it happens. I think about, Christian Scientists, for instance.
To the medical community, there's nothing they can do about it, but you're expected to have a 3-month healing time and a long wait, where Christian Science and God's help and God as our Father and Mother taking care of us steps in, and the healing is instantaneous.
That's a fair point.
So, I can't connect with it, but I can reference it.
And then I guess the trans or non-binary thing just is a little bit more real to me in terms of a thing that I see in the world.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, the other things as well, potentially.
But we don't really know that about Suzie yet anyway. Suzie, as far as we know in the show, is still using she, her pronouns. And
yeah, the main sign, I would say that the main evidence that Suzie is non-binary or trans is this episode.
Yeah. It's literally her own psyche yelling at her.
Right. And the fact that that Suzie looked super great as Pugsley Adams in that one episode. So great.
So great.
But you said that you had one thing that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, so it was Hilda. So Hilda went and got herself a job.
So, what I lack in experience, I do make up for in enthusiasm.
And it was amazing. She works in this coffee shop / hangout place / diner ?
Bookstore for the weird and dispossessed.
And a bookstore. See, this place is the best.
She works for Dr. Cerberus, who used to be like a horror movie host on TV.
Well, you do know I started out as a Greendale weatherman.
Yeah.
And she has to wear a costume.
How do you feel about wearing a costume while you're working here?
She looked adorable in her little costume. She was wearing a little witch costume or a little bat witch costume thing, which was amazing.
Kind of a Bride of Frankenstein thing going on, I think.
Yeah, it was totally amazing because it's not her at all, but it was like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. She's really a witch, haha.
Mm-hmm.
And she went to make some coffee for a gentleman.
And what's your name?
Luke.
Any surname?
Chalfont.
And she put a little love potion in it.
Always prepared. That's the witch's motto.
We know Luke. We've met him. He's a guy.
He is.
He's a guy who's friends with Ambrose.
They may have made acquaintance with each other's genitals at some point.
Perhaps you could try calling that nice, handsome young lad you dated. Luke, something or other.
Luke Chalfont. I have called him. Repeatedly.
Oh.
He hasn't called me back.
But now he's been love potioned.
Nothing bad can happen as a result of that.
Nothing bad can happen. I mean, hijinks will most certainly ensue, but it won't be bad. If any, she's got to be like the best potion maker in town. So it's probably some like quality shit. Gardener witch that she is. But yeah, it's gonna fuck some shit up. But anyway, she looked adorable and she was just so happy because she's like, I don't know what to do anymore. I'm not part of the Church of Night and I've been disbarred. What the fuck do I do?
And Batty Bat sort of one of the things we learned from the last episode is that Hilda is worried about just being attached to her sister for the rest of her life. So it's, it's nice that she gets out and about for once.
And she does, and she gets a job, and she looks amazing, and she's so proud of herself, and she's still fucking shit up, and I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
She's the best.
And do you remember, so Hilda asks what's wrong with Ambrose, and Ambrose says,
Nothing. Just my melancholia.
There is some pretty good Ambrose stuff in this overall. And he basically says that Luke has ghosted him. Literally? Probably not. I don't think Luke is a ghost. But
no, I don't think he's a ghost either. But I also think it's not that he ghosted you, bro. It's a little more complicated than that. Also, how old are you, buddy? He is not. He's what, 85, 90 years old at least?
Yeah, he's got to be. And it's also, I wonder if, Hilda mentions, having previously lived in England.
I love my horror hosts, you see. Svengoolie, Count Gordeval, Vampira. We didn't have them back in England, but I have quite the assortment on video.
Which I had never really thought about despite the accent. I guess I just thought she was pretentious. But anyway.
Hilda's not pretentious.
Anyway, but Ambrose kind of has a bit of an accent too, and I kind of wonder if they came over in colonial times or whatever.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't, but it's still, if they did, Luke is too young for you, buddy.
Yeah.
You need to find yourself a nice octogenarian.
That's right. Age appropriate.
I know. Come on, dude. You're being a little creepy. You've had a little more life experience. Also grounded.
I feel like whenever we think about timeline stuff, though, it just ends up giving us a headache. Wait, so what happens in relationship to others?
Well, we all know how long a fucking pregnancy is now.
Oh my God, that's the worst.
Carrying a child of night to term should be the most joyous 13 months in a witch's life.
13 months.
13 months, because you got to be spooky. You got to have a spooky number of months. But Homegirl is pregnant with twins for 13 months.
Homegirl in question being Lady Blackwood.
She's hella knocked up. And she's only a few months along. So then I'm like, oh my fucking God, 13 months of this shit? She's already like a fucking ripe tick.
Yeah, like, do the kids come out as 10-year-olds, basically? Or, like, what? Man.
I don't know. Because, like, we saw Sabrina as a baby with a half goat sibling. And they were normal baby size.
Yeah, not normal baby shape so much, but...
Oh, no. But, you know, I just think that's kind of like really kick you in the uterus. Like, hoof to the ute. That's gotta hurt.
I thought exactly the same thing.
Goat to the ute. Huh. I would prefer not to.
Yeah, rather not.
Well, we'll know soon enough if it is the Dark Lord's will.
Yeah, this fucking episode. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't the best episode. We had to go down to the goddamn mines to get the fucking tablet. And then there's the mother of demons standing there. Like, why are you down in the fucking mines? Oh, just watching you. That's just my job.
Her outfit was pretty on point, though.
Her outfits are always amazing, and I want every single one of them. I don't have the tits for it, so I really can't. But I want them anyway.
Okay. Well, so is there another thing that you had in mind about this episode?
Well, there was also one other good thing. So they did have to do an exorcism.
They did.
And so there's a fucking devouring worm that's inside of the Uncle Jesse.
Oh, yeah, the ice cream demon.
Ice cream?
Demons have an awful sense of humor.
The ice cream demon. So the ice cream demon is a worm fucking somewhere in his soul possessing him. And they come out. It's Wardwell and Sabrina and Hilda are all there, right?
Yeah.
And they're yelling at the demon to get out, and they're using all sorts of witch names, including Anne Boleyn.
Call on Black Annis, I call on Anne Boleyn, I call on the Witch of Ender. Visit us, sisters, intercede on our behalf.
So they're calling out witches, and they're begging their sisters to help them out. And then Zelda rushes in to help, and
I call upon Sybil Leek! I call upon Priscilla Spellman! I call upon Frances Spellman! I call upon Evanora and Lucasta Spellman! Continue, Sabrina!
out comes the demon. It's just like a fucking literal slug flopping around on the floor.
Yeah, actual worm.
And nobody actually smushes it.
They throw it down a well, which doesn't seem like it's going to do anything.
And you really don't think it can get back up, Miss Wardwell?
Not with that ceiling there. Not in the state it was in. No. That worm will burrow its way back to hell where it belongs.
No, that seems like the worst idea ever. And while we don't see Wardwell going to get the worm afterwards, she knows what that fucking worm is. It's the bottom of a goddamn well with a broken tablet on top. What good can a broken tablet do? It is broken.
Yeah, you mail that back to Apple and you get... No, never mind. Yeah, well, and also from the last episode, we know that she is the mother of demons. So
yeah, she's the mother of demons. She's, sucking Satan dick. She is not a cool chick. But fucking Sabrina, she's a dumb fucking idiot.
This is not a good episode for Sabrina. She does a few things that I did not care for at all. One was not grilling Wardwell over her bullshit story at the beginning. Another is like when her friends come to her and are like, hey, we've got this demon that's giving us trouble. She just tells them, like, she basically gaslights them. She's like, demon.
She totally gaslights them and then goes to talk to her second boyfriend.
Yeah, well, I did enjoy that.
Well, because we hate Harvey. But, just break up with the dude.
Nicholas, to be clear, I have a boyfriend.
Yes. But you also have two natures. You go to two schools. Why not date two guys? I'm down with sharing.
You know what? I appreciate that. He's like, look, you're half witch, half mortal. You got two schools. Why not have two boyfriends? It actually seems logical. If it's above board, why not do the thing?
I mean, I feel like if you've got a CW show, you need characters who are DTF.
Yeah.
And even though I think that this guy is literally Satan.
No, I suspect you're right. Son of Satan, maybe, but definitely Satan. But if it is Satan,
Yes.
why does Satan even need Wardwell to like do his dirty work, and like he talks through other people sounding creepy? Like he did that with Balki Bartakamus. He like possessed him and made his fucking eyes go back and all this gunk or whatever. If he can just be a hot dude, like why is he doing all this other shit?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess Wardwell has been originally her agenda was to get Sabrina to go to this school where she would beat Nick Scratch, satanic fuckboy.
That is a great title. I love it so much. That's our book.
There it is. Glad to help. So I don't know. My feeling is that there, so basically Wardwell at the end is talking to the uncle for no particularly good reason because she's about to kill him. There's no real reason for her to monologue at this point, but
it's just a plot. That's all it is. The only reason he's kept alive is for her to talk at him and then get killed.
Yeah. But she says,
take comfort in the fact that you served a greater purpose.
Purpose?
Well, she had to perform an exorcism on a mortal. Part of the Dark Lord's grand design.
And so that's what he was there for. Okay, fine. So there's like some big plan that's going on. I feel like we probably will learn the whole thing at the end of the season.
Yeah, I want to see Satan's checklist.
And I also predict that it will make no goddamn sense whatsoever.
It's like she's got to do all of these things and then go to the church fully and willingly for him to win something. Like, what does he win? What do you get?
Yeah.
You get one chick's soul. There's really nothing all that special about her.
Yeah.
Kind of a dumbass. Like, hey, Wardwell.
How am I ever going to outwit the Dark Lord?
You fucking idiot.
Outwit the Dark Lord? Why, Sabrina. Whatever do you mean?
Because Sabrina's a dumbass. Sabrina is such a fucking dumbass. I'm so mad at her. Like, why would she say this to this lady? Like, you haven't told your aunts, who you know are actually, like, taking care of you. You haven't told them what your plan is. You're going to tell this lady?
So, there was something that happened a couple times in this episode, which is a thing that I like. In Sabrina, I always appreciate when it turns up, which is just like the witches being just super casually callous about mortals. Or so, like at one point, she says she's complaining to Ambrose about Wardwell, and Ambrose is like, "Well, maybe you should give her a chance. Maybe you need to hear her out." And Sabrina's like, "No, fuck that. I'm a teenager. I'm mad." And he says,
give me a bit of her hair and I'll make all her teeth fall out.
How about that? And then a little later on, Sabrina's like, my friends have been getting these demonic visions, and maybe people are going to start about witches, and maybe that's bad for us. And Zelda is like,
who's talking about witches? Give me their names and I'll make sure they stop talking about anything. Permanently. It's just terrible when teenagers slip into comas.
Sabrina's like, that's not where I was going with that.
But it's where I was going with that, and I appreciated it.
And then Hilda says,
get them to bathe in a bit of blessed water from the Sea of Galilee. Oh, that always does the trick.
Which is a level of practical advice that is totally impractical that I also appreciated.
Like, yeah, not a problem. Let me pop on over to the Sea of Galilee.
I don't know. Is there anything really we didn't really give a plot summary, but I feel like if people get the idea, is there anything else? Was there anything you liked about this episode?
Here's the thing. I like the aesthetics of this show a lot. I think it's a fun show to watch. I think it is aesthetically pleasing, even though the lighting really confuses me because it is so dark and nobody seems to have electric lights. But whatever. Aesthetically, I really, really like the show, but I am so nervous when it comes to jump scares.
Oh, yeah.
And there were a few in this episode. There was like 4 of them because the uncle would, pop up behind somebody. And you knew that they were coming, like, obviously. But I'm still a very sensitive little fish. And I actually did jump even though I knew that the uncle was going to be there. So I didn't like that. I don't know. I liked Hilda.
Yeah.
That's what I liked. Hilda being all cutesy at the combination record store, coffee shop, bookstore, hangout space diner.
I'm at the Pizza Hut. What? I'm at the Taco Bell. I'm at the combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. Wait.
I love her. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we've pretty much covered it. I felt like this was kind of an episode where not a really a lot happened that I thought was that interesting, and it was more just like to get us, so that Sabrina trusts Wardwell. Ambrose is kind of feeling particularly how he doesn't enjoy being confined under house arrest. That was another thing Sabrina did. She totally dismissed that. Where Ambrose is like,
I'm in prison too, don't forget that.
Jesse's possessed. You're under house arrest. It's not the same thing.
True. His ordeal will be much shorter than mine.
Ambrose, if I could help you, I would.
And she's like, why don't you help me with my problems and we just not talk about your problems at all? How about that?
Well, that's basically what she does. I mean, she's always like, oh, friend, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize that everything was terrible for you. I hadn't been paying attention. But then she does it again.
So, but the next episode will be Feast of Feasts, which I don't have. That doesn't give me any kind of idea of what the next development is. Good enough.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break from Sabrina and read another book.
We sure are. I'm very excited to talk to you about that.
Me too. What is that book?
Darius the Great Deserves Better.
So that should be, well, actually, I'm going to release another episode of our old Riverdale recordings from however many years ago.
Oh, shit. That stuff is the best. That show is terrible.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Darius the Great Deserves Better, and then we'll probably return to Sabrina.
Yes.
Let's see. Is there anything else we say at this point? You can follow us on Love Pod, at Love Pod on Twitter, where if we do, the next time we do a watch along of Sabrina, we'll post some tweets there with instructions on how you can join in on the fun. Both of us were in on the last one.
Yes. And it was so good to actually be able to, because I think we've only did we see the first episode together when you were actually here last year?
Yes. Yeah, we did. Because I walked back to my Airbnb in the dark and was like, oh, maybe that was a little scarier than I thought it was.
So it was fun to be able to watch it with you, and we could see each other's reactions and stuff like that. Or like that.
Me too. So until then, thanks for listening. Thanks for talking to me about this TV show, Carrie.
I like how you pause before the words TV show, because you know that there's an adjective that goes in there, but we're not really ready to say it quite yet.
You know me so well.
I do.
Give me a call when you get back. Hey there.
Hey.
LoveWhyLikeCrazy.com.
So I guess now we have to do it for real.
I guess we do.
Although that was pretty... Oh, hi.
Sometimes I'm like, okay, so that's the bit that goes at the end.
Hi, Jake's mom.
Well, good evening, Carrie.
Hey, Jake.
Hi. This is Love You Like...
I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Whew.
No worries. This all edits together great.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.